Hey everybody, it's your old pal Kevin Strange back again. We're doing two today. It's a twofer. Two times. I am going to do something a little different tonight. And let's see how to even get this. How do I pull this up? How do I pull this up? Just trying to pull the page up that this is on and go share it over on my Twitter. See if we can get some more people in here tonight. I don't know how to do this. Two times. Here we go. I am going to do. Here we go. I figured it out. Oops. I'm going to share this over on my Twitter real quick. And then we'll get started. Get that going there. All right. Okay, gang, let me get us going here. All right. I invited some people to the stream. Maybe they'll come in and hang. Otherwise, it's me and you. Me and you, the chat tonight. Okay, so earlier today, let me make sure we'll have plenty of battery for the pencil. Earlier today, we hung out together and we penciled this scene, title page number 3 for the COCKHAMMER Lives graphic novel. This is chapter 3, Windgate's Warfuck. This is the title page for that section of the graphic novel. And I changed a few things around since you guys saw this last. If you watched the stream where I penciled this, I added another character here running from one of Darius's tentacle pieces. And then I changed this guy's setup. And then I digitized the whole thing. It's right here, digitized, same picture. So we're going to lay in some inks now in this night stream. All right. So we've got a lot of different planes going on here. We've got a foreground, a midground, and a background. At least I know the foreground is going to be thick lines. I think I'm going to go extra thick on the foreground character, just this one character. Normal for the whole middle here, and then small thin lines for the background to denote that we're back in the background for that. So old Skinny's going to join us here in a second. That's cool. We haven't had him on in a little minute. So we're going to go 50. We're going to go 50 for the for this line here. And that's real thick. It might be too thick. We'll take a look at it. We might have to re-ink this guy. But that's the beauty of digital, is we can do whatever we want because we are only a backspace button away from fixing any of our mistakes. So if you're jumping on, hit the like button. The like button helps spread the video around the old the old Facebooks. It gets more people watching the video. The more people watch the videos, the more people we can get excited about the stories of Strangeville here, gang. I can only write it and draw it, and take it around the country. At conventions, it's up to you guys really to spread the word, to share the comics and the games and the movies with your friends, and sharing these videos out. These are like my behind the scenes videos. I say this all the time. These are like, I used to do behind the scenes videos and audio commentaries for my movies, and I brought the hack minions and the strange heads. I brought you guys along on the journey with me and let you guys see all the behind the scenes of the process. And this is my way of creating a behind the scenes audio commentary for the graphic novels. You get to watch me do them live. Zach, what's up, buddy?
Nothing, just been chilling, trying to pry myself away from the intense philosophical / theological stuff I've been delving in, and try to unwind and read some dumb pulp predator related fiction, but having trouble. So I thought this would be a good way to spend the night and chill out.
What are you having trouble with?
I just basically taking a chill pill. It's like so much intense study for like one day. It's a little hard to unwind with something that's like both completely still using your mind, but fun. Like basically, I just need to chill and drink and talk, which is cool. Hang out.
Oh, I get it. I go through those periods myself, and it's just sometimes you got to let go for a little bit. John Coy asks, "Are you using a Wacom drawing tablet?" I am using this is an iPad Pro drawing tablet that I use. This is the newest generation of here. What's up, Skinny?
Well, not much. Just got home from school.
This is the newest generation of iPad Pro, and then the newest Apple Pencil is what we're making comics with here in Strangeville. You just got home from school, Skinny. What are you going to school for?
Oh, where there's money, lots and lots of money.
Lots of money, huh?
Yeah, lots of money, lots. Especially if I get contracted out to go overseas. We're talking about like $100,000 year for plus like a $60,000 bonus.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. That'd be pretty life-changing for you, wouldn't it? That kind of money?
Oh, hell yeah. You know how many comic books I could make with that money?
That's what I'm saying. I've always taken I've always just taken the poor route. I just stay poor and make all the comics. I figure I'm going to be dead one day anyway, so it doesn't really matter if I was rich or poor. The comics are still going to be the comics. I've been watching Skinny. Do you ever watch the Cartoonist Kayfabe channel on YouTube? You know who those guys are?
I don't even know what the fuck kayfabe is, man.
Kayfabe is a wrestling term. It's a term that means wrestling kind of made its own language to keep regular people from understanding that it was fake. And kayfabe is the term used for keeping the pretend a lie, like keeping the pretend going. So kayfabe would be when if you're a wrestler and you're out on the road and you're going to stay at a hotel, and the clerk at the hotel asks you a question about wrestling, you act like wrestling's absolutely real. You act like there's nothing fake about it. That's kayfabe. And so these wrestling fans are also hardcore comic book fans on YouTube, and so they have this channel called Cartoonist Cafe, and they do a fuck ton of like retrospective videos where they'll set down a comic book and they'll go through like a Rob Liefeld 1990s like X-Men or X-Force or X-Factor comic, or they'll do like a Todd McFarlane Spider-Man, or they'll go back to do Jack Kirby. They just do everything. But anyway, they go through and they like Sam Keith is one of my favorite comic book artists. He did the Max for Image, but he also did a fuck ton of Marvel Presents covers, and he did a ton of covers for Marvel Comics in the 90s. And the dude is completely obscure. Nobody even knows where he is today or anything. You know, he just wasn't into the notoriety. He was just into drawing pictures of superheroes. And at the end of the
he's
day,
got a lot of confidence issues too. Like, he doesn't think he deserves any of the credit for anything he's done.
Yeah, he thinks he's terrible, doesn't know why people buy his comics. But he's just one example of these guys that's like, he's totally obscure. Who knows what he's probably living on a fucking Social Security in a one-bedroom apartment or house right now. He probably doesn't have very much money at all. But all those comics are going to live on, and that's all I really ever worry about. Like, I want people to still have access to all the stuff I make long after I'm dead. That's all that really matters to me in terms of my career. That's my little rant on being a starving artist.
Well, I got my book, so, you know, once I go in the grave, something on me will live on, at least. Not to mention all those illegitimate children.
Right. Jason says, as long as you're happy in life, that's all that matters. Well, that's a tough thing to be.
All right, Kev, did you see these?
Hang on.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
I got a fat stack, man. I'm happy with these.
Yeah, those are cool as fuck. Where'd you get those?
Sticker Mule. They had a sale where it was like for $9 you could get 50, I think 3-inch stickers. I was like, hell yeah, $9? And at first I was going to order well, if I can get 50 for like $9, let's throw down $36 on this and get like 200.
Oh yeah.
No, after you're 50, it goes back to regular price. So I was like, I'll just take the 50.
Yeah, that's bogus. So I guess they're trying not to get screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. They know people like me are out there.
Right.
But I am doing those posters through the company that you recommended, Jack Prince.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So I'm in touch with them right now. I'm really happy. We'll see if they can do a little bit better on the quote that they gave me, but I'm about to get things rolling hardcore, man. Yeah,
I like to hook people up, creative people. I love to if I know of a better deal or a better place, I always like to try to hook people up. It's hard, especially for us poor guys. There's guys like John Delarose or Preston Poulter who are independently wealthy and can just buy whatever. Like they don't ever have any problems with merchandising. Their biggest problems are just dealing with personality, getting people to buy their stuff, but because they have outrageous personalities. But for guys like us, a lot of times it's cost prohibitive to do anything.
Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of like our little. I guess it's like a whisper network, except we're not malicious. We're like telling each other about good deals and stuff. We're kind of like the couponers of comics.
Well, we've talked about this before publicly about how weird Comicsgate is. in that they don't ever seem to help each other. They're supposed to be
they don't.
They're supposed to be this like network of comic artists that are gonna save the industry, but they all make these terrible mistakes. Not all of them. I'm being unfair by saying all of them, but oftentimes people, creators associated with Comicsgate, will make these cheap mistakes and end up with terrible paper quality for their comics, or they will literally ship their comic book in a Ziploc bag, or they will print their comic book. They will print their comic book on magazine mailers. That kind of stuff is like,
well, it's not even that they don't help each other. They keep making the same mistakes over and over again. You would think, like, well, didn't you notice that this guy had this issue? You would have thought to look out for that.
yeah.
Like, but God bless Comicsgate, dude, because seriously, watching that dumpster fire has taught me everything not to do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've got a little bit more. I guess, knowledge in the game, a little bit more wisdom, because I've been doing this for so long. I've been doing prints, and I've been doing DVDs, and I've been doing stickers and banners and all this stuff since about 2006. So I'm not coming in as a brand new creator in this comic book world that we're a part of. So anything I can do to help a little bit, I'm always willing to do so, because, and I really think a lot of that Comicsgate stuff, dude, is I think it might be like competitive jealousy. I think a lot of those guys don't want each other to succeed. I think a lot of those guys want to be
they're a bunch of narcissists.
Right. And they want to be the one guy that's like they're tripping each other up. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that's unfair, but it really seems from the outside looking in like a lot of those dudes are tripping each other up and really causing each other more problems, or not help, at least not offering each other helping hands. Like when Tim Lim found out that Doug TenNapel was using the same printer he was talking to, they got together behind the scenes, and Doug hooked him right up. And Tim Lim now exclusively uses Doug's printer in what state are you guys in? Tennessee. Uses his printer in Tennessee to print up all of his comic books, and it's like Comicsgate should have been like guys like and
Tim paid it forward too. Like, Tim helps me out a lot. Like, he's taking all this info Doug's passing on to him and passing it on to me.
Good.
So I'll be going through API too. Like,
good.
It's kind of strange though. I mean, it's cool too, because, like, not casting shade on API, but they never sent me the quote that they were supposed to send me. I'm sure they're busy people, and I got my little tiny book. I was probably on the back burner, but I didn't even ask Tim to. I just kind of mentioned that I never heard back from him, and so Tim immediately calls him up and like, y'all need to talk to Skinny. And sure enough, next day I got my quote.
That's great, dude. And that's the kind of stuff you would think that like Richard C. Meyer and Ethan Van Sciver would have done for each other. Richard's been in this game now since what? He printed in 2000. He printed Jawbreakers in 2018.
Yeah.
So he's got.
Wait, there's still drama with that dude?
Oh, always, never ending. He's more of a drama queen than anybody we know in the fiction world.
I bitched to him because he kept using the original Jawbreakers Indiegogo to plug his newer books.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this kind of irritates me. I don't want to hear about this crap. I was like, I wasn't happy with the book, and I never even got my damn Sashi print. And then he's like, well, what was your backer ID number? I'll give you a refund. Like, immediately.
Well,
so I decided that I wasn't going to tell him that.
I was going to say good on him for that. At least.
Yeah, I mean, I got to give him respect for that. But, man, I got a refund for a book that I burned in a fireplace on stream.
Right.
I was so mad about that. That book was a piece of crap, dude. I was, But yeah, like, if you remember in the early days when he was first starting to do Jawbreakers, like, he had all these fans within CG.
Right.
because they're not creators, but they were like, oh man, I hope he starts his own imprint, helps out all these other creators, and
Right.
yada, 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 and nothing. Not a damn thing. They haven't helped a single fucking person.
That's what's so bizarre.
Bermuda Press freaking destroyed themselves over nothing. Because it was that one little instance of them promoting this dude in Jawbreakers that caused like all their most popular authors to be like, oh my, we can't support this. We have to cancel our contracts and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Just how they freaking tweeted or reposted the Jawbreakers Indiegogo or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so this actually had Jawbreakers skinning actually had implications over in the fiction world where Zach and I hang out. This indie horror joint called Bermuda Press that does like a lot of zombie and survival horror stuff.
Yeah, they published my first thing, by the way.
Yeah, they were. You remember, and Skinny, you and I were guilty of this too. When all that shit first happened with what the fuck is his name? Mark Waid and Jawbreakers, and trying to get him canceled and calling him a Nazi, trying to get Richard Meyer canceled and calling him a Nazi and everything. A lot of us sort of, even people like me that didn't know who he was, we circled the wagons and were just, thought it was just another SJW cancel situation, which it was. It was. It's just that Richard C. Meyer, all we're really saying here, like you said, you didn't like the book. I didn't buy the book. Book looks cool to me. There's a giant fucking gorilla fighting some superhero X-Men ripoff dudes. That's fine with me. I don't have any problems with it.
It was so inconsistent though. Like the art was okay. The gorilla looked like a damn action figure. You even had like a line at the waist where you'd be able to like turn them.
You think he was traced?
And I wouldn't say traced. The guy Malin probably just looked at like a gorilla toy and used that as reference. But it was just so weird because the gorilla the whole time looked like a robot. It was not a robot by any means. It's supposed to be a flesh and blood gorilla. But the panels were really inconsistent too. Like one moment, they're like driving in like 4 foot high wild grass and there's trees and shit. And then the very next panel, all of a sudden, oops, we were driving on top of the gorilla and he sat up. And you're like, where the hell did that come from? Huh. It read like a fever dream. That's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, the panels were inconsistent. The art was inconsistent. The writing was inconsistent. Everything was it. He had a superhero team. Like 3 people on his team were just strong guys.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you have this many people?
Is it Jawbreakers that has the famous line, I have the power of 1,000 slaves or 10,000 slaves behind me?
Yeah.
That's
a black guy called
that's worth the $25 by itself. I'm sorry. I have the power of 10,000 slaves behind me. What does that even mean?
And it was really weird because like they had this, has this other character called Hell Priest, and he's supposed to be blind, but he can see people's souls.
Yeah.
But then like the guy turns around, the Hell Priest guy, he's like, oh, they've got really sophisticated armaments and shit. And you're sitting there thinking, do guns have souls? How do you know you can only see somebody's soul?
The guns
And it was just really nutty stuff, man. Like there was one scene where the main character was this, I forget his name. His powers like Silker. No, I don't know what his name is anymore. But he's the guy who's got like the Fu Manchu stash that looks really weird. But there's one scene where he's like bench pressing Buicks.
Buicks?
And I'm not joking. He's just bench pressing cars.
Interesting.
And it just made no sense at all. You're like, these guys are really rich. They got a lot of weapons. They got an HQ. You would think he would have like a Bowflex or something. No, he's just picking up cars.
Yeah, I mean, it's comic books. I'd have people bench pressing cars.
They're really bad comic books, man. I can forgive a lot, but I can't forgive that much. I think his problem was he was surrounded by yes men. Like he had all these people who idolized him,
Right.
reading his scripts and everything like that. And oh yeah, man, it's great, it's great, it's great.
Yeah, because he
Instead
started
of
off.
telling the truth.
He started off as a critic of mainstream, current year SJW, Marvel, and DC comics, and he was famous for reading them in his lap and then getting mad and like crumbling them up, like ripping them up, balling them up, and throwing them away in nerd rage because they were so bad. And then he was gonna do a comic of his own as a way to, I guess, save comics. Was the whole impetus of that. But this company, this fiction outfit called Permuted Press, jumped on with the rest of us when we were trying to circle the wagons and help when Mark Waid came after the publishing deal with Anarctic Press. And what Zach's here saying is he's saying that he lost a bunch of, the guy that runs Permuted lost a bunch of contracts over Jawbreakers. So that the comic that you're shitting all over lost this publisher some of his authors just for supporting it, because
that's a shitty hill to die on.
Yeah. But again, a lot of us didn't even know what the hell was going on at the time.
Also, Permuted, you could easily argue that they fell from grace a long time before that.
Yeah, I always.
It all happened once they sold out, ironically, and it usually is the other way around. They take off and get big, but I don't know what happened there. It's like they sold out and started getting worse quality. Didn't
Permuted originally publish John Dies at the End?
Yeah, so they were definitely well known, and I just don't get what happened. But yeah, back when the indie fiction actually first started taking off and it was kind of big, Permuted was one of the front runners of the whole zombie fiction craze. I mean, there were other ones that were a little bigger, like Severed Press, for instance. They're still around even. Yeah. But Permuted, I mean, they were making some waves back when those books were actually selling like crazy. But
in the early 2010s.
Yeah, and I just don't really get how they screwed up. It never made sense to me because they were so good. I think, though, it seems as if they did kind of get excluded from the overall community because they started going in a really niche, I guess, right-wing prepper fiction direction.
Yeah.
And it's like they lost their identity after they sold out with Simon & Schuster.
It happens. Ben, what do you think about all that?
I don't really know much about Permuted Press. They were acquired by Simon & Schuster. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I know.
So I got
I knew that they were a horror press.
Yeah, I got the brag that I was published in their anthology by Simon & Schuster, but of course that's not real. It was only a freaking online thing, so I don't even get what Simon & Schuster did for them. It may have just been some kind of deal to get John Dies at the End and make it this big thing. So who knows?
Oh, they put out John Dies at the End?
Yeah, it's like they put out that. That was one of their earlier releases. Then they sold out, but then it might be that since they did sell out, the publisher, like they were just another imprint that the gigantic corporation had acquired, and so they just stopped caring about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird with these. I don't even know if there's 3 or 4 big presses now, but I started reading The Discomfort of Evening, and it says that it's put out by Grey Wolf Press, which got me curious, and lo and behold, it's just an imprint of Macmillan.
Yeah.
Chat, jump in. Tell us your thoughts. We're hanging out in Strangeville tonight. I got my buddy Skinny, who's got his comic Otis Stein is imminent, right? It's coming soon, right?
Yeah, it should be, yes. I mean, the book's done. We're just waiting to launch. Doug we're launching through Gravestone Press, and they're wanting to fulfill their last book right
Vestry?
before we do ours.
Vestry, right?
Yes, which I think that's almost fulfilled anyways. So it should be here soon. I'm just kind of playing it by ear right now. I've already got like the pre-launch page up and everything for it on Indiegogo.
Yep, I've seen it. It exists.
It exists.
Ben, you got some new books out, don't you?
Yeah, my new book, Dr. Sodom and Mrs. Gomorrah, is available on Amazon and and paperback and Kindle. There's something else I'm doing right now. If anyone listening, if you donate to a rent relief mutual aid and send me proof of it, at least $20, I will send you any one of my books for free, and it'll and you can choose between digital or physical.
Is that something that's really a big problem right now? I haven't really seen many people with the $600 unemployment bonus because of COVID, and then the $1,200. I haven't really seen anybody complaining about not being able to pay their bills.
Ben's homeless right now.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm living in a cardboard box.
Really?
Yeah, just trying to find a way to break through the cellophane bag.
Okay, well, I don't think that's true. Are you really homeless though?
No.
Oh.
But that, a lot of like low-income people or people who lost their jobs, were having, problems with facing looming eviction.
That's what I'm saying. It seems like that didn't really become as big of a problem as people thought it was going to be, because unemployment pretty much hooked everybody up.
That's it. Well, that's ending, and so is the like the moratorium on evictions here. So
yeah.
it hasn't happened. I wouldn't say it's happened yet, but the thing is, like, it is something that's looming. So I in some ways I don't think it's going to happen, because that amount of people being put out of their homes at once, I think that would cause even worse riots than what's going on right now.
Well, I thought that Trump did some kind of executive order, because they're doing like part 2 of the stimulus, actually. But I thought a part of one of the things that he did was he basically said no evictions.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that, because I don't recall that being part of it. I think he can do no evictions.
I may be wrong. I really don't get too much into it. I just listen to whispers.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I'm pretty sure he can put a moratorium on evictions. I'm not sure if he can actually do that or not, but I think he can. I'm pretty certain he can't continue the unemployment thing and so forth, because Congress has to actually vote on the money. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff's locked up in Congress right now with all the fighting back and forth, which I really don't give a fuck about. I don't really want to bore everybody with political details, especially this week with all the conventions and stuff going on. People are here to get away from that shit. I mean, they could be watching live streams of a bunch of rich dickheads talking to each other and blowing smoke up each other's ass right now, but instead they're hanging out with us watching me draw dicks. So we definitely don't want people to get evicted. That's all I was getting at. Was I didn't know if it was going to be a problem. I actually didn't launch my card game Indiegogo earlier in the year, specifically because I was sensitive to the fact that a bunch of people were going to get shit on if the country was locked down over COVID. So I'm still sitting on this. Game's completely done. I have the box. This prototype version of the game is basically I did some little tweaks here and there, but I could have launched this game back in March and already been on the other side of it now. And I'm working on a graphic novel, but I still nobody's even owns this game yet. I'm the only person that owns this game. I have to take this game to my friends' houses and make them play it with me. This is the only way this game even gets played. And it's a great fucking game. It drives me crazy that it's not out yet. But I did that purposely because I wanted to be sensitive to people getting fucked over by this COVID hysteria. But it seems to have passed pretty much without a lot of craziness. Like you're saying, it's looming, it's coming. There's people that are unemployed and have lost their jobs, and they aren't going to get this $600 any longer, and it could be bad for them. But it seems like most people are landing back on their feet somehow.
The thing is, though, with restaurants and stuff, like if you watch what restaurant owners are saying, like I never knew that, because I've never been involved in any type of food service industry. I never knew that like they ran on such a tiny margin, and that anymore, like, I mean, a big percentage of them are just going to go under, especially if they're,
a lot of businesses run on like razor thin margins.
Zach, this is what you look like when you work in food service. This is what you look like at the end of every shift.
Yeah,
I work in food service, so I can attest to that.
But like legit, man, like people think, oh, the restaurant's just closed. They're just not making money. They don't consider the fact that the moment that you close these guys down, they're going into the negative immediately. There's not just, oh, there's no income. They're just bleeding money. Because they still got to pay for power, for the lights, for everything, for the food. The food's going to go bad if it's not used at a certain point. Everything in that place costs money by the second.
Chat, jump in here. Talk to us. I was watching tonight before the stream. I was watching. I wanted to watch Dracula 2000, but Dracula 2000 isn't. I don't own it on DVD, and none of the streaming sites that I have subscriptions to had it. So I started looking through. I have a Roku TV, and it lets me like search all streaming platforms for movies. So if I search Dracula, it tells me all the streaming platforms that have Dracula. So
and there's like a million Dracula films.
Yeah, so I started looking.
Is that the one in space or the one with the film crew?
That's the one in space. It's really good. It's really cool. It's Dracula 2000. It's ridiculous. It's so dumb. It's Dracula sci-fi. It's fucking stupid, but I really like it. I haven't watched it in years.
Oh, that reminds me. Zach, Dracula called, and he's coming for you tonight.
Wow.
He says why?
He wants to taste your sweet blood, your sweet virgin blood,
sweet virgin Christian blood.
Yeah.
He just no sells it. So anyway,
he just accepts it. Yeah, I'm sure Zach's got plenty of crosses laying around to hold his own.
So I start looking through the list of Dracula movies, of which there are a million, and I got to the section of the Hammer films, the Horror of Dracula, Dracula's Brides, and there's one that I've started this movie 20 times and I've never finished it, called The Satanic Rites of Dracula. Have any of you guys seen that one?
Oh yeah,
I heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, so I started watching that before I jumped on the stream here, and as usual, I didn't finish it. I got further. It seems to be a pretty cool flick. Did you guys like it? Do you think it's a good one?
To be honest, like I like the Hammer feel of it, but I can't remember anything about it other than it just being a fun Hammer type movie.
Yeah.
Is a Satanic Rites of Dracula? Does that one have Christopher Lee as the Dracula?
Yeah. I think all the Hammer Draculas have Christopher Lee, don't they?
I think there's at least one that doesn't. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe the first one. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, it starts out with this like FBI guy is like infiltrating a satanic cult, and he gets captured and tortured by them. But he like strangles this dude and chokes him to death and gets away just long enough to give the intel to the FBI. And that's as far as I ever get. But it's a Dracula movie, so I'm just like, it's the FBI versus a satanic cult, and somehow Dracula gets involved. It's got to be good.
Yeah, I remember him not being in it that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the weirdest, like, it's not a Dracula film, but it's a vampire film. I think it's called The Laughing Vampire. It's by a French director. way it starts out like really weird. It's these guys in like a paper mache mask and like a leotard chasing this woman through town, and then like eventually when they corner her, one of them just pulls out a gun and shoots her.
Wow.
Which is like hilarious because it's like building up and it's just like, oh, he's just shoot this woman. But the rest of the film is actually like really good. It is a little like, French artsy, but it is like but it does like take the vampire thing in a very interesting direction.
Interesting. Have you guys
I don't want to spoil it. I'd say that's one to check out for yourself.
Have you guys seen Let the Right One In?
I love that movie.
The movie's fucked up.
Yeah, that's one I want to read the book before I watch it.
Oh, really? You haven't seen it?
No, I don't really know anything about it. I've freaking seen the dang, I guess, whatever, what is that thing, summer camp movie? The sleepaway camp type ending got freaking spoiled for me on YouTube. I'm still gonna check it all out.
That's actually not the ending. It's just a factoid that you learn about the vampire as the story progresses.
Ah.
In Sleepaway Camp, it's literally, and she was a tranny. That's like the whole exploitive ending of the thing. Like that alone is this horrific thing. And Let the Right One In, it's not. It's just character development in the movie.
Yeah. Speaking of vampire stuff, the other vampire thing I read this year was Nosferatu, and it has that by Joe Hill, so the license plate.
Oh yeah.
And it's got the AMC series to go along with it. Have any of y'all seen that?
I started watching the first episode of it, and it's so fucking weird. It just came off like that, like high concept, overwritten King family shit. So I didn't get any further than that.
I wasn't too big a fan of it, but it was definitely interesting, but freaking annoys me just like how much of a stranglehold King has on like all of popular horror. Which, I mean, I know people love him, but I just something about that feel I can't really stand.
I used to love him until he had his near-death experience and decided he's going to live the rest of his life as a dumb asshole.
As a dumb asshole. I agree with that sentiment.
Maybe he actually got killed and a demon possessed his body.
There you go.
Yeah. What he wrote in The Dark Tower, that wasn't fiction. That was documentary.
What did he write in The Dark Tower about it?
In the Dark Tower universe, like they discover like in his universe, they're like one of the Crimson King's lackeys, I can't remember which one, figures out that their story is being written by this author in the quote unquote real world. So they send a car to kill King, and Roland is the one who rescues him from dying in the accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was a bit cringy when it happened, man.
That part didn't bother me. That part didn't bother me. The last book of the Dark Tower series is it's not good.
I like the ending though. I know I'm like the only one there, but
it's not the ending itself. It's the way he delivers it. Especially, at least the edition I read had like a cringy note of like, but you don't have to read the ending. It's just that's dumb. If you're not satisfied with it, don't put it out.
My dad had actually gotten really mad when he read the ending. And then I was like, but yeah, dude, but when that happens, he's actually got the horn when it starts back up, and that he didn't have that in the beginning. So there's like, it's like there's a chance for redemption.
Yeah, that, like I said, that part didn't bother me. It's just like the way it gets there. And like the way the Crimson King is like or the King in Crimson, whatever he's called in the book, is like just a complete anti-climax. He's just like a crazy dude throwing grenades.
Yeah, he got killed by a pencil eraser.
Yeah, the guy with the magic pencil was like a huge ass pole. Just like, oh, I need a Deus Ex Machina, a guy with a magic pencil that can just instantly kill the Crimson King by drawing him and erasing him.
But he shits the bed on a lot of his books in the ending. Like, I remember this one I read, which was like Desperation. It was a great book until the ending, because the end monster is just like a hole in the fucking ground. And the guy defeats it by just like putting a shotgun shell in the hole and hitting it with a hammer.
Yeah, I did read that like years ago. I don't remember like anything about the ending, but I do remember the part where like the cop pulls the couple over at the beginning, and he's just like casually saying things like, "You have the right to remain silent. I'm going to kill you. Everything you say can and will be held against you in the court of law." I think like the way he put that in there was really good. Really stuck with me.
Have any of y'all read Joyland?
Yeah, and Ron Perlman played the cop in the movie adaptation of it. And the movie's terrible, of course, but it's worth it just to see Ron Perlman kicking the shit out of one of the people in the couple as he's saying potato, patata, tomato, tomato.
Have any of y'all read Joyland?
Yeah, or what's that movie with the shit weasels? What's that one called?
Oh, that's
Dream, yeah.
Yeah, Dreamweaver or something like that.
Dreamcatcher.
Yeah, that was like that was like what's the Shyamalan movie where the wind kills people?
The Happening.
The Happening. Yeah, that's like that movie is like Happening levels of like bad and ridiculous and like what the fuck were you thinking? I haven't read like
I was mad at that movie.
Yeah, I remember like I watched Sleepwalkers and I really hated that, even though like in retrospect it is kind of funny for its badness.
It's fucking insane is what that movie is.
Yeah,
That's the insult one, isn't it?
That's the werecat people.
Werecat people that are shapeshifters.
Cat like sleeping with the mother cat and all this.
And
incest
edible cats.
Cat people.
Yeah, edible cats.
So fucking weird. Andrew says, I'm pumped for the card game. Andrew is one of the playtesters for the card game. He's been playing the shit out of this game with me. And the other night, me and Andrew and another one of our friends who's a playtester, we sat around and we absolutely nailed. We sat down and read every single card. There's 150 cards in this set with the 2 expansions. And we read every single card and made sure that everything read right, everything played right, everything was cost effective, wasn't too OP. We put a lot of hours of work in. And so Andrew's a bad motherfucker. He says, I'm pumped for the card game. And he asks, is this the cover page for the graphic novel? So what I'm doing here is the graphic novel has 4 parts to it. It's 4 chapters, basically. And chapter 1... And I'm going to I'm doing little title pages for each chapter. So the trying to find my shit here.
Yeah, while you're looking for that, I just thought of something. What if they like recut the film version of Cats with the Sleepwalkers?
That would be amazing.
That would be an improvement.
So this is the pencil page for part 1. The Meat Portal, and that's actually coming as a 32-page preview comic with the card game when we launch, if we hit the stretch goal on that. And then part 2, the second section of the graphic novel, is called Cockhammer's Crypt, and that's the one we did. We did this yesterday and the day before. This will be the cover page, the title page for part 2, Cockhammer's Crypt, and then right now we're doing the title page for part 3, Wingate's Warfuck. That's this one that we're working on right now. So there are four sections. So there's still one more of these cover pages to do when we're done with this one. If that answers your question. Incest werecat people that are also shapeshifters and can shapeshift their cars.
Yeah, and I don't know, just put them in the Cats film and have them change, what do they call it, Jellicle cats, just have them change that to edible cats.
Chat, jump in. Tell us what you think of cannibal werecat incest beasts.
Reminds me of the dang Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island werecats.
I don't know.
The werecats didn't fuck, therefore that movie sucks.
Are they
could have behind the scenes.
Scenes, maybe. Maybe they did.
They were mother and daughter in the film, weren't they? It's been a long time.
Mother and
That's right.
No,
there was
Island.
A man too.
Oh.
There was a man, so they brought him in. They never explained how the initiation started.
Oh,
he was fat and old though.
I thought we were talking about Sleepwalkers. You guys are getting deep into Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island lore.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really deep lore, but I mean, that actually was a really good movie.
I know, it's freaking amazing.
Didn't they make a sequel?
Yeah, and the sequel was horrible. I mean, it was bad.
Probably not losing anything by not checking it out then.
No, you're actually gaining by not doing that. So
yeah, it had all the hallmarks of a freaking horrible Scooby-Doo thing. Like, you can always tell if Scooby-Doo or any incarnation movie or TV show is going to be good on whether Velma is normal or a complete freaking bitch. Literally, that's the thing the whole thing hinges on. It's like if they get her right, then it's normal. But if they mess her up, then they mess everyone up. But never
what about
in between.
What about the ones where she's
lesbian?
She's not in there? Well, that's everyone.
Some of those were actually pretty good, like those old movies they did in the 80s where Shaggy had the red shirt.
Yeah, actually, I don't know why, but I still really like the Ghoul School one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Have y'all seen the new CGI one?
No, it's like $20 freaking bucks just to rent it.
Yeah. Apparently they're doing that with
hell,
it's on HBO Max. You can get a free trial, but I checked it out. It's actually really good, man. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Did Shaggy actually go to hell?
No.
Plot twist: Shaggy's always been in hell in the series. It's his eternal torment.
He goes into a different dimension or something that he comes back out.
Yeah, it's like Doom, or what's that movie, Event Horizon, where it's not hell, it's just a different dimension that basically is hell.
Yeah. The way they explain it is like he does kind of go into another dimension, but it's like there's all this treasure there, but it's also like holding some ancient beast or something like. It was really weird, but it was really good. I was really surprised. Like, they did a lot of kind of adult jokes too with Dick Dastardly.
Yeah, it's kind of weird having him be included, but I guess that's cool. I was kind of. Are they doing like a whole Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe or something, or is it not that at all? Like, I'm confused.
Well, that's what the film gave me the impression, is that they're doing the whole thing, because there were a few cameos in there too. So
I think I showed Zach it on The Quiet Place, but have the rest of you ever seen that Wacky Races car commercial from South America?
Nope.
It's just basically just like I think it's for like an Acura or something like that, and it's a guy racing against like live action versions of Wacky Races characters, and it's actually really awesome. Like, they completely nail all of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, they even like get the gags right with the Angel Mob trying to throw like a one of those like round bombs out and having it like bounce back into their car.
It's cool.
If they could figure out how to do like a full length movie version of that, that would be pretty cool. Skinny mentioned HBO Max. I don't know if they actually are, but I've heard rumors that there's going to be like new episodes of Aqua Teen Hunger Force on there.
Really?
Well, they did. That'd be cool, because I know they did do the Close Enough cartoon, which is by the dude who did Regular Show, and that was awesome, man. It was like Regular Show, but like about adulting. I don't know how to describe it, but it's really funny.
Yeah, because I actually recently binge watched a bunch of like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and yeah, it's even better than I remember.
That's a funny show, man. I didn't like a lot of that stuff on Adult Swim. I'm not a big. What's weird is I do like crazy cartoony stuff and horror comedy, but I don't like American comedy. I don't like American comedy cartoons. They're all formulaic. They're all the same. Sitcom cringe shit, and I'm not a big fan of it.
I'm not either because they feel so dry. Like they're not. It's too about that adult humor. It's not like I don't feel like there are actual stories or characters that matter. Which I mean, people don't want that when they look for that. But
no, it's just stoner shit. It's just stoner shit. But
yeah,
I really liked Aqua Teen Hunger Force, though. I thought it was a really clever, funny show.
I think Adult Swim really shit the bed when they got that Tim and Eric on, and they started doing like these really, really cheap fucking cartoons.
Yeah.
And then they kind of fucked things over with Brendan Small because they didn't even let him finish Metalocalypse.
Right. Metalocalypse was the only other show that I liked on there. I thought that was a brilliant show too.
Yeah, and the show he did before that, Home Movies, was excellent too, man. Like, you need to check that one out if you have.
I've seen a few episodes of that one. I haven't seen a lot of it though.
Tim and Eric was kind of the seems to be like kind of the like center of like that of the weird live action comedy on Adult Swim. Yeah. I never got into that, but I did like a lot of the stuff inspired by it, like the Eric Andre show, and I even liked the $1 Million Extreme show.
Never saw that.
I think it's pretty good. Obviously they that got shit canned because Sam Hyde is kind of an unstable asshole.
I don't know. I love all that dang the school shooting trolls.
That's what I was going to say. The only thing I know,
anytime there's a shooting,
that's the only thing I know Sam Hyde from. I didn't know he was an actual person. I thought he was just a school shooting meme.
Yeah, he's actually pretty funny. Like the one time he bullshitted his way into doing a TEDx talk.
Did he?
Like he just went on wearing this like weird Centurion armor over like a red jumpsuit, and he just like walked around the stage talking about things like in the year 2030, gay men will have reproductive organs in their anus. And in the year 2030, there will be no old people because we're just gonna kill them.
Wow,
we're just gonna kill them. And just shit like that. And then by the end, like when they had like all the TEDx people on, it's just like the only question he got during the Q&A was someone asking him, I didn't get what the point of your talk was. What was it? And then he just said, it didn't mean anything. It was all bullshit.
The one thing that annoyed me was how just freaking pretentious a lot of people were about his Adult Swim thing getting canned.
Yeah, it was dumb. I don't think he should have been canceled. I think he had a lot of good ideas that could have been done, because I did see one of his stand-ups where he was talking about where he was actually like reading some of the sketches and jokes that they had planned for the second season, and they were hilarious.
Yeah, it's got to be admitted, he is a freaking master troll. Like, it's the level of trolling that he's on, like it's legendary.
Yeah, I haven't really kept up with his newer stuff because he put a lot of his shit behind a paywall, which I guess is kind of understandable because he has to, make money doing this, and he's not going to get hired on TV or anything like that. And YouTube hates him, and so does Reddit.
Yeah, the paywall is kind of where anybody that wants to be edgy has to go at this point, because all of the mainstream platforms are just going to ban you.
Yeah. I mean, they can always go the free route and do bit shoot and that type of thing, but of course they're not going to make money doing that. But at this point, like I don't think many creators should expect to make any money. Not necessarily that they don't deserve it. It's just it's very hard on the consumers too. Because it's getting so freaking hard to find these people because it's like anyone you like, whether it be like an alt news channel or something like that, they're gonna get banned off everything, and it's getting super super tough to find things, and having like the added thing that once you find something, you have to pay for it too. Like it's just, I don't know, it's getting crazy.
Yeah, it's funny because I've recently got into the podcast Cumtown. I found like episodes on
Sounds
YouTube.
gay.
That actually the host would agree with you. They would very much agree that the show is gay, and that you're gay, and that Kevin is gay, and Skinny Gay is gay, and I'm gay. Everyone is gay. But I mean, one of the sketches from the show I was listening to earlier was gay John Madden. Yeah, one of them did a character. It's like, this is a character I came up with. It's gay Charlie Chan, or not Charlie Chan. Gay Charles Bronson. Me, sucky. And that's the character. But yeah, it's just like I found them on YouTube, and it's like, well, wait, where do I actually go to like listen to the actual podcast? And they're like on like something called Librisyn, which is like, no, not Librisyn. I can't even remember what it's called, but it's like a podcast hosting thing that the website still looks like it's from 2000.
Wow. Yeah, as far as the shouldn't expect to make money at it thing, you're in mid 2000s music, rock music territory now, and starting to tell people, well, we're going to steal all your music. You shouldn't expect to make money off of us. And you saw where that got us. There's literally no good rock and roll music left because high level people aren't going to do it unless you pay them. It's just how it is. And
well, of course,
it's this continual like tightening. Like it's not the creator's fault. It's really, I mean, of course, it's only the rampant censors who run everything, their fault. And it's like more stuff needs to get made to push back against it. I feel like if they do the paywall thing, they're just going to get more and more niche and not get like very, 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 very crucial stuff, crucial alternative takes and whatnot out there that the general public, I mean, we need it. It's like there's so much poison there. We've got to easily be able to get away from it and enter this field where we can be led in a somewhat cognizant right direction. And I just feel that would it's like we're in such like an intense war with all this stuff. Like we've got to make it a little bit easier for people to get away.
I mean, yeah, that's the problem. Is like there's this, most of the internet now is controlled by just a handful of Silicon Valley corporations, which is, not good, especially when they, decide, what is and isn't acceptable. It results in a lot of genuinely interesting things being pushed to the margins. But speaking of like finding good music, if you need help with that, you can go to my podcast on soundcloud.com/Bandcamp Massacre. The next episode is going to be out soon, and we talk about good music that you can find on the website Bandcamp.
Yeah, I gotta say, as far as the free thing, I would actually disagree that it's the good people won't do it unless you pay them. The main thing is there are a ton of good people doing stuff. It's that there's just so much out there that you've got to be led to it. And that's what I love about Bandcamp. I mean, it's completely free, but I've been led to the best music I've ever listened to in my life just by, using the filters on there and finding different bands and different genres. I mean, Bandcamp's pretty amazing.
Did they put out 3 songs and never do anything again? Because this is
a lot of them put out.
We're in pretentious fucking music territory here, which I get real cunty when we have these conversations about music. It's like I have friends that are only into 1970s punk rock for bands that put out one EP in 1978 and then broke up and became fucking Postmen or fucking dock loaders and never did any other music. And they're like, this is the best album of all time. And 90% of the reason they have that opinion is because they made it for free and then broke up after 3 songs, not because it's genuinely good music. So there's a lot of
Well, they're posers because it's not 70s punk rock. There's only one 3-track album, and that's the masterpiece. It's Japanese post-punk bands that only put one 3-track EP out,
Right.
and then are never heard from again. Because you don't even know what the fuck happened to those people unless you learn Japanese.
Right.
I'll say I do like the genre known as post-rock.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means, but I freaking like it.
I don't know what it means. No, I just get I don't know. I don't like music people, pretentious music people. For some reason, like we can hang all day long talking about movies, but when we start talking about these bands that put out nothing, next to nothing, but it's the best thing ever because they put out next to nothing. You've never heard of the music that I like. Whereas like with movies, there's not as much of that with movies, because if it's more like if there's a movie that I've seen that you haven't seen, I'm trying to get you to watch it. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to watch this Dracula movie. This Dracula movie's fucking cool. It's like a different attitude than music. Like pretentious music people like pride themselves on the obscure bullshit that they listen to as, you know, quote unquote, the best music ever. But other fandoms don't really. They're not so elitist in their pursuits.
I listened to them before they got big, man.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping that that with a lot of rare music being widely available on YouTube and Bandcamp, that kind of dies, because you actually can like, hey, listen to this or something like that. You don't need to be a pretentious dick, and it's just like, I've got like the one album in my huge fucking collection.
Right. It's just
that's the thing. Like the cool thing about Bandcamp, I never use it because I don't actually have like a Bandcamp account. You can just go on there and look up tons of stuff. Is it has the people who support it there, so it's kind of like you see the fan base a little bit. And a lot of them, they get, big relative to Bandcamp. I mean, you can't really gauge how big they are based off that, but it's kind of cool how Bandcamp's set up in that way. But the one thing that I do agree, though, and I've said this a lot, is that all this stuff we're listening to, even if there is like, it is obscure, but we can say there's a fan base on the internet. The average person hasn't heard of any of these bands, and we don't have like these big mass like music decade cultures anymore. Like that's completely dead. We'll never get that again. Like we're never going to have grunge kids and then hair metal kids and then anything like that. It's over, which I think really dislike.
I mean, on one hand, that's kind of good. I'm kind of like into the idea of like everybody listens to everything. Like we don't have like these pretentious metal guys being like, oh, rap is crap and all of that now. But I do agree that it does kind of result in, especially in like mainstream radio, like everything just comes together into this mush mono sound. Like even fucking country songs.
Oh yeah,
are auto-tuned with the trap beats.
Yeah, that is the country. Like I don't get how people listen to like modern country. It's so bad.
Yeah, it can get pretty fucking dire.
Yeah, I wish country took I'm sure it's out there, but you'd have to look for it. But I wish it took like a freaking intense rebellious type kick the system stage instead of being this really soft, all about sweet potato pies and dirt roads.
I mean, that did happen. It was I'd say it was popular around like the mid 2000s with Hank Williams III, Those Poor Bastards, Unknown Hinson, bands like that who they cursed a lot. They sang about like murder and drug use and things like that. But that kind of tapered off. Like those bands are still, making music. It's just kind of like, oh, okay, what they just kind of accepted, like, okay, mainstream country is this, but I'm just over here doing like this more traditional Americana-inspired stuff. Except I still sing about murder and drug use and things like that, which traditional Americana music does.
This is worse than sports talk. I hate music. I really do. I've always been cunty when it comes to music.
I don't listen to as much music as I wish. Like literally the only time I ever listen to music, new music, is when I write. and that will just be like weird ambient instrumental stuff, and every now and then stuff with vocals. And then when I drive around, like it's literally just the same CDs I've listened to forever because I'm not going to buy new CDs. Like just freaking Euphoria Morning by Chris Cornell and Bermuda Triangle by Buckethead on repeat, and that's it.
Like the one scene from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. This is like, no, officer, I'm not going to get in my car and drunk drive. I was just arranging my cassettes. Let's see, AC/DC and Crocus. Yep, they're in order.
Is somebody setting bombs in the background? What is that noise? I keep hearing beeping.
That's me just setting up my usual bombs, to go fuck the city up later.
Oh my god, you're probably not lying.
No.
Okay.
Ben the anarcho-communist.
I'm not a communist now.
We're getting some progress.
Anarchist, yeah, but not anarchist, yes, not communist.
Check me out, guys. This is our
the snail people. Reminds me of Uzumaki.
Slug flesh craziness happening here. Darius the fish demon has unleashed his tentacles into Strangeville, and the citizens of Strangeville are being turned into new flesh slaves of Darius the fish demon. Why does a fish demon turn people into slug monsters? That's for you to decide.
Because you really like Uzumaki?
Well, I do, but
freaking weeds.
They're slugs, not snails.
So all I have left to do is nail in this background, which I'm going to do on a separate layer, and I don't know if I'm going to do that tonight or not. I kind of want to wait till tomorrow to do that.
Go grab a drink real quick.
Have you read anything interesting recently?
I've been reading a lot of nonfiction. I've been listening to the Moby Dick audiobook, and I watched the 2011 Made for Stars Moby Dick miniseries. It's 2-part miniseries. It's like two 1.5 hour parts. So it's basically a 3 hour long movie, and it's pretty fucking good. Have you ever read Moby Dick?
I read an abridged version when I was a kid. I do have the full length one on my shelf, and I'll probably read it at some point. Recently, I finished reading James Elroy's Blood on the Moon. That was really good. Let's see. I started, like I mentioned earlier, I started reading The Discomfort of Evening, which is it's a Dutch novel. I guess it was shortlisted for the Booker Prize, which I usually don't really care about, but that is a little surprising for a for a debut novel. It's basically about this Dutch girl who lives on a dairy farm with her family and her brother. It starts off where something happens to her. I think her pet rabbit almost dies, but before they take it to the vet, she says a prayer to have her brother die instead.
Oh God!
And he does end up drowning, and that's the catalyst for the whole family starting to fall apart.
My Lord!
So it's a kind of a disturbing book because it's told by this I guess almost Faulknerian. Well, she's not really an adult child. She is a child, but she's
a Faulknerian child. So a super smart child.
I was gonna say no, a dumb character, but she she's dumb but has a certain kind of awareness, especially about her senses. So the way she describes things is very visceral. I'm not that far into it, so I can't describe it that much, but I do think it's really good so far.
Oh, heck, I hate this. Massachusetts mandates flu vaccinations for students of all ages. And I'm assuming that probably means college students too. I'm not in Massachusetts, but I can see that easily coming to Tennessee, which just angers the heck out of me.
Yeah, what we need to
I don't.
do is we all need to live on farms, homestead, solar power, live near a water source, be it a well or preferably a body of moving water like a river, and completely go off grid is going to be the only way to escape the coming control grid. And that's Republicans, Democrats, fucking Easter bunnies, Santa Clauses. There's not going to be any way to vote our way out of this shit.
Yeah, it's getting,
Which
I mean,
is
if you just pay attention, it's getting progressively worse.
Right.
And I
Which
think
is
the next thing is going to be some kind of, nationwide mandate that is going to set, all these like groups that are just getting used to having something to riot and protest like literally every week. That's going to be their new thing. Their new enemy is going to be one enemy, people who don't want to get on board with all these weird mandates. And then it's going to suck.
Which is funny because another book I recently read was Capitalist Realism by Mark Fisher, and that book is best summarized by the first line of the book, which is, "It's easier to imagine the end of the world than it is to imagine the end of capitalism." And you can like quibble over the word capitalism or whatever, but it's basically this idea that the current neoliberal order is that it's become so embedded in people's minds that people like literally cannot conceive the idea of anything beyond it. It's it's sort of like what Fukuyama said about this being like the end of history, which it very clearly isn't. It's clearly very precarious. But
I don't know though. If you take that and you apply it to Nietzsche's Last Man, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and it makes me think that
he
like
does refer to
America was like.
But yeah, he does refer to the last man in that.
Yeah, it's like the whole American
capitalism
thing was like an experiment that could go very, very, very well, but once you get somehow to program the nucleus of the democracy, there's no turning back, and it's just like freaking nationwide, and by extension, since we've led in a lot of things worldwide, mob rule, and the mob is completely in favor with the state at this point.
I mean, the way he kind of describes like the future is he refers to the movie Children of Men, which I haven't seen, but he basically describes it as being like a sort of boring apocalypse where there's still like things like Starbucks and so forth, but all of like cultural artifacts have been like looted by rich people who keep it in their homes where no one can see them, and like there's just like cages of refugees and starving people like just out in the open. Like you can just pass by a Starbucks and just behind it just see like cages of refugees, and he kind of envisions that as like being the most likely future if we continue the way we are.
Yeah, that's a city fuck that's envisioning a world that he can't envision a world without fucking city people. That's what I'm saying. Nothing you describe is a homestead with your own livestock and your own water source and your own ability to create sustainable food. Like that's the thing about the apocalypse is we always see the results of the dystopia in the as far as what a big city is. Like, well, why can't we get past the idea? Like you're saying, it's easier to I forget exactly how you described it. The end of the world is easier to envision than the end of capitalism. Yeah, for somebody that's never been on a farm, for somebody that's never stepped foot outside of a big city, sure, but we can survive this. We just have to learn to live outside of the fucking metropolis.
Thing is, I think this enemy that we're facing doesn't they're not above anything, even their own harm, because of just what they are. And they could poison the freaking like world easily. Like I don't think they would be above making everything completely uninhabitable with nuclear force, because at the end of the day, I don't think their goal is to preserve themselves either. It's just to kind of destroy everything.
Well, it's ultimately happening with climate change in a way, but I suppose like we can like look at that, but I mean that's having a similar problems. Family farms are increasingly being replaced by factory farms by big agricultural companies. And
oh yeah, it can't be a farm that you use to make money. That's kind of the thing. Like it's got to be, you've got to have some other source of income coming in and the farm, I would assume, and that seems seriously difficult, if not impossible.
Yeah, that would.
Well, you don't need any income.
I mean,
you don't need any income if you're just self-sustaining off the farm.
I mean, if you're just doing that by yourself, I mean, the problem is like
it takes two people to run.
Getting that to be done in like in mass and en masse. I can't really see that being done en masse.
No. Most people are going to be in those cages that you're talking about in cities by Starbucks crying, woe is me, look how bad capitalism is. But the reality is it takes two people 8 months a year to run a quarter-acre micro farm, and that's more than enough that's enough for enough solar panels to run the entire farm and your house, and it's enough acreage to grow everything you need to live on and have animals on the property as well. I watch these micro farming YouTubers that are literally living this lifestyle right now in preparation for economic collapse in the future. And they teach you can learn on YouTube how to run a quarter-acre farm with two people 8 months a year. It's possible.
Again, that still doesn't seem sustainable, because if there is like a total economic collapse within the cities, they're eventually going to leave, and they're eventually going to, start, going towards where they think there's going to be food, and it's essentially like you just have like these few farms and these massive no man's lands where you just can't travel or do anything.
Okay, so now you're envisioning what the life outside of those anti-capitalist cages look like. So what we're going to be dealing with, what we're going to be facing, is we're going to be facing these mobs, these roaming cannibalistic, warlords that are it's going to look a lot like Mad Max in a way, where we're going to have these roaming bands of cannibals that are going to be traveling the countryside looking for these farms and things like that. But if
there's total economic collapse, but there's also like putting into account that the system would make it increasingly more difficult to do that if they saw that as a viable alternative.
Yeah. So that's what you're initially at the beginning, because eventually that system's going to collapse. There's not going to be. There's not going to be there's not going to be grabblers coming into your property talking about, ew, the taxes though, and this is an illegal farm, and we're going to have to shut you down. Eventually, that's not going to be there. But yes, initially, in the first stages of full economic collapse, that's what your big enemy is going to be. Your big enemy is going to be the bureaucracy that tells you that these little micro farming areas are illegal. But you can't do that.
And like essentially what you are envisioning is a sort of almost like a Kaczynski-esque kind of rejection of industrial society to return to an agrarian one, which
out of total necessity. Out of total necessity, would you rather? What's the alternative? Do you want to live in one of those refugee cages? Because they're called FEMA camps. They're already set up. There are FEMA camps in this country set up to hold 100 to 200,000 people with tons of plastic coffins waiting for all the people in the FEMA camps to die. I mean, this is our future. This, like everything you're describing, is absolutely true. This children of men future, where we're all herded into these FEMA camps to take, as Zach said, these mandatory vaccines, these mandatory chips, these GPS chips. And that will probably also hold our social credit score and our digital money. All this stuff is coming. Like this is no longer science fiction. This is the future of the United States of America. 5 to 10 years in the future, 20 if we're lucky. I really don't think we're making it 20 years.
I mean, of course, my view. Like, it's not gonna. I mean, I don't want to say for sure because no one can do that, but it's gonna be a complete like exterminationist type thing. There's not with added natural disasters.
Well, that's what I mean by having all of the we lost Skinny. Skinny dropped out.
FEMA camp got him.
Yeah, Bandcamp and quoting Nietzsche got him. What was that? Because I was going to ask his opinion. I was going to get him in on this. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, the extermination that's where all of those plastic coffins are going to come from, because those vaccines aren't going to be healthy vaccines. Those vaccines are going to slowly cull the herd, because they don't want. I mean, think about the infrastructure and how much money it would cost to run each of those FEMA camps with 100 to 200,000 refugees in each one. I mean, it would be the overhead on those places is going to be monstrous, and they're going to feed poison to these people through vaccines and bad food and everything else. Maybe just mass extermination. Maybe just Nazi-esque fucking gas chambers for all we know. I'm not denying that future is there. I'm saying that there are alternatives, and those alternatives come with their own. I'm not saying it's a utopia. There's going to be this kumbaya return to nature, return to an agricultural world, but it's literally going to be the only alternative. The only alternative because we're not rich. We're not going to be rich. If you're not already rich, there's little chance of getting rich in enough time to escape into that very tiny, privileged upper class of wealthy people to even get away from this. And even that's going to collapse. That's what I'm saying. Like, none of this is going to sustain itself without a global economy, without capitalist enterprise to drive it, will collapse exponentially. 3 to 5 years total collapse. Like, once we enter the collapse phase and people are herded into FEMA camps and they start getting these mandatory injections, 3 to 5 years the whole system collapses. And then what's left? All that's left is living on your own, like having a sustainable farm, unless, like Zach says, we end up nuking everything. At that point, it's like, well, pray to Jesus, because that's the only thing that can save you at that point.
And in a sense, we're almost like engaging in that. It's like it's almost we're sort of just envisioning, like, what can I do to survive at the end of the world, then trying to actually envisioning, society beyond the current order. We're just kind of seeing like, oh, this is the current order.
That's the thing, though. That's what I was getting into on the last Quiet Place, is the way this, in my opinion, I mean, I can't say for sure, but if you start talking about last orders, the one thing that sets the West, the modern day West, and perhaps even the third world countries in a lot of ways, is that we've become like enamored with this idea of like a common sense culture, a culture built around rational, principles, which that allows a lot of freedom for, diversity for a time. But we've gotten to the point where people start making that rationalism their driving force, but they can't see that changing. It's gonna take a lot to get them to throw that rational thinking that the best way to run and govern a people is based on these, common sense economic principles, because that's the way of nature. We're never going to go back to a way of like a cognizant society. It's like, at this point, we've destroyed what it means to be a society and to be humans. And the only thing left is just kind of bare, like, animalistic survival that I don't believe will last long.
Which is kind of one of the things he goes in that Mark Fisher goes into in Capitalist Realism. He kind of divides. He views the workplace as being divided into Fordism, and that we're currently living in post-Fordism. Like, the idea of Fordism is it's this idea, that we run this top-down factory as a on quote unquote rational principles when all we're really doing is just turning people into numbers. He argues that we've entered a sort of post-Fordism, because like an example he gives is like in Fordism, when you're when you're in like a factory, there's like too much noise to be able to do basic communication, or you're too busy to do communication. So the only time you can talk is like the break rooms or the toilets and things like that. But in post-Fordism, communication is a part of all that. You're constantly being communicated to by your coworkers and by your your superiors and so forth, and it results in being incapable of communication to be able to do something like form a union or something like that.
Okay, I know what we should do. Since Jeremy has a house with land, we should go
kill him and take his shit.
No, we're gonna go set up a quiet place commune that it's gonna be multiple hippie vans, and they're all just and campers and RVs, and they're all just set up at the back. So it's gonna be
a band camp, if you will.
Yeah, van camp. It's gonna be part communal living, part freaking podcast headquarters. We're gonna have multiple. That's all we're gonna do, and that's how we're gonna bring income in. It's gonna be all kinds of ads on the podcast, and that's how it's gonna be sustainable.
Ads on the podcast.
Yep.
I heard kill Jeremy and take his shit. I'm on board. Like who do we podcast? Who do you podcast to in an apocalypse? Just like
that's what I was gonna
like assuming the internet.
You all seen the damn disaster movies? There's always some like lone freaking crazy dude that's speaking the truth into the thing, and the
like
lone survivors tune in on the AM radio and they find him. That's gonna be us.
Yeah, just like a Roland Emmerich film where we all have like ratty hair and we make shitty animations about about what's going on.
My question was going to be who buys ad spots in an apocalypse? We're going to sell ads.
Well, prepper companies.
The prepper. Well, there you
go. And there might be some of them. There'll be some people making money because they.
Survival.
Alex Jones, like for instance, during the apocalypse, he is the king.
Alex Jones
he has all the prepper equipment, all the water filters.
Yeah, that's the only capitalist enterprise left is Alex Jones selling water filters and survival seeds.
Yep.
We're back to the capitalist realism. The end of the world will be brought to you by Raycon.
This is freaking making a lot more sense now. Speaking of which, I've not tuned into him in a while.
Alex Jones?
Yeah.
He just had a bunch of drama with Millie Weaver. She released a documentary about the deep state, basically. And
yeah, I've been meaning to watch that.
In this documentary, supposedly there's some anti-Roger Stone shit. And so she got into it. She went to jail.
Does Alex Jones like the Penguin?
Roger Stone?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a show on InfoWars with Owen Schroyer.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't. Is he like the co-host of the War Room?
He used to be till he went to jail.
Oh yeah. I thought that jail thing was pretty absurd.
I mean, Alex Jones was better when he was on public access TV in Austin.
It was the 1990s.
Yeah, he was better then.
This is because he was anti-cop.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
That is the one thing. You and I were actually having a discussion about this one time, Kevin, about how in modern times, as opposed to the before time, Alex Jones was kind of like the edgy, really alt type dude. Whereas now, it's like, I'm not going to say he panders to conservative boomers, but he seems to be in that.
But he panders to conservative boomers.
He does. It's really strange. It's like he does it, but he's not really. He's still seen as fringe. I'm not really sure, and It's one of the things that's really made me go back and forth as to whether I think Trump is like a legitimate enemy and freak like incident that happened where the establishment's like, who the heck is this guy? And he freaking comes in and actually gets popular, or if he is still, co-opted in a certain sense. And
always was.
I think so. I've just always had this inkling. Huh?
He's just a boob. That's why he hasn't been able to do any. That's the only thing people really don't like about him. Oh, he says the bad things. He's a Cheeto. He has no decorum. His wife has done Playboy stuff. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
and all that. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily like a gigantic pro-Trumper. I'm not even going to vote this election. I just stopped caring. But I've always just had that inkling that, like, maybe he does run in these circles, and you could point to his history and say that he is.
Yeah, he always has. He's a New York millionaire.
Yeah, but just imagine
old money.
through conscience, he did want to make things better. I'm not saying
you think he has a conscience. That's cute.
I'm not saying that's true. But it's like we wouldn't be able to tell either way. We couldn't understand like what's really going on with politics at the super high level. But then again, maybe he is just a complete puppet. I'm definitely not above her.
I think he is even more. I think like half of what he does is just because there's people whispering in his ear. Whereas the things he really cares about is just like, I want to make the big beautiful wall and put my name on it.
Yeah,
the thing about the funny thing, Steve
Freemason Association. I mean, they flat out caught him doing the handshake. I mean, perfectly. So I mean, maybe Mike Pence is, and if he is, then I completely don't trust anything, and that seems to be the direction a lot of this stuff goes. But maybe Trump is good. I mean, it's just one thing we can just speculate on. There's evidence both ways, in my opinion.
That's another thing that happened. The absolute disgusting creature, Steve Bannon, being arrested because that GoFundMe for building the wall was a complete fucking scam.
Now, I got one thing about Bannon. I gotta say, he flat out pushed this COVID paranoia. I mean, he pushed it to the nth degree, said that none of it's a hoax. It's coming to kill us. I mean, I think he played in with the system like crazy. I think that's
mostly because he absolutely despises China, and it's a good way to get in on them.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. There's so many layers to this, and we're just lay people at the end of the day. Like there's,
like the funniest part is like, the funniest part about the whole like build the wall fund is like, did anyone like who donated to that actually like care that they were taken for complete suckers, or were they? It's just like, I've got money and I'm old and I don't care. I just don't want the brown people coming in, so it doesn't matter.
The thing about the wall, it became so obvious it was never going to happen. Like just a little bit into the presidency, nothing happens.
And you should have known it wasn't going to fucking happen when he was talking about, Mexico's going to pay for the wall. Well, they fucking weren't. He'd laid out no fucking plan for that to happen.
I don't know. It's a lot of weirdness, but yeah, I gotta say, I don't think he's delivered on a lot of things. Which I mean, is obvious. You could easily say that it's provable that he didn't deliver. But then again, how much can he realistically do? Is he trying? What has he done? We don't know about. Now, the stuff about the Q that really gets on my nerves is that I really think this pedophile stuff is a complete, like, it's in the hands of the pedophiles. They're going to make it so crazy and absurd and then disprove it. And
the thing with QAnon is I don't know how solid the evidence is, but the guy who started 8chan, I think his name's Fred Bannon or something like that, he says that the new owner, Jim Watkins, is Q. he presented some evidence of this, and I don't really know how solid it is because it's like back end computer stuff that I don't understand. But if that's the case, it kind of makes it pathetic that the guy who runs the 8chan, which used to openly have a jailbait board, is like talking all this shit about high level pedophiles and like all this like nonsense.
Yeah, the more I've delved into stuff, anything that panders to conserva boomers, which I like a lot of them, and they have good intentions.
Which I don't understand how Q ended up being so popular with conservative boomers. I guess
it's a sociological thing.
They never got away
the
from.
world literally going to hell, and I think Kevin actually said this one time. It's like the world is obviously in a very bad spot. These boomers, they lived in a time where social norms were a bit more traditional. Not completely. They're still, fucked up stuff. It wasn't the 50s or before that in the glorious times. But we're so freaking like the advancement of degeneracy just went from 0 to like flooring it. And they found themselves powerless in a culture that hates all of their values. So they want some kind of power, and maybe they remember the old Rambo movies and the Red Dawn and all that stuff. As cool as that was, they think they're that. I think that's what it boils down
like
to.
The Satanic Panic stuff. I've seen a lot of speculation that like the McMartin preschool stuff, that a lot of that came from anxieties about more women going into the workplace and leaving kids at preschools. And, being worried
I don't know if I would go that
far. Their kids.
That McMartin stuff, I mean, it's I getting from there to the accusations, like I would honestly have more hesitancy buying that than I would anything. I think the truth is just, in some of these cases, so insidious that it's literally never going to come out. And there's going to be some kind of convenient explanation. You really need to read that book, Programmed to Kill. And I mean, it does a very good job of compiling like what the actual facts are versus the media narratives. And there's nothing other to say than the media obviously steered away and took the rational explanations way too quickly and pushed it on the public. I mean, and we see it still happening today. I mean, the media is obviously not our friend these days. And back then, I mean, it wasn't that much different. And it does seem to indicate that here's a very good example. I don't know how much you can verify it, but the whole John Benet Ramsey thing, it got spun pretty quickly that, the mainstream people seemed to have trouble accepting that it could have been her parents. Now, they did get demonized a lot, but it seemed like the narrative consistently kept being pushed toward the parents were just in this position, and oh my God, they had all these people saying that we did it, and oh my God, how could you think that? And the parents are in so much pain, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the thing came out way later where a dude with all kinds of child porn got busted. And lo and behold, he had John Benet Ramsey porn, or what was said to be John Benet Ramsey porn at one time. I think it later got retracted, of course, but just think about it. That something like that just doesn't get put out there for no reason. And when you look at the other circumstantial evidence, the same thing with flight logs, like on the Lolita Express and whatnot, existed with that Jean Benet's parents' parties, because they would have parties and all these people would sign the guest list. They had to. And a lot of the people apparently on the guest list ended up leaving positions of power during the whole time the trial was going on. And I mean, it's just gigantic web. But once you start looking at some of those key instances and stop, thinking, oh my God, all these conspiracies are just, bullcrap and just look at some of the stuff that happens, as in people who sign that guest list leaving their jobs in government, things become a little bit more, I don't want to say clearer because we don't know, but it becomes clear that people do know. I mean, you can't say exactly what, but there does seem to be a general consensus that there's a knowledge base that we're not privy to.
I mean, that's obviously going to be the case in pretty much all things. No one has access to all of the evidence.
Yeah, but I mean, this directly indicts people in power with this, whole well-known, get the rich men who can't control their lusts, control them by getting them to screw up. And then, I mean, I'm not, taking them off the hook. I mean, they're horrible to do that, but that's just how these people would work, is get them to have sex with an underage person, then use it as blackmail. I mean, that's the only possible reason those people could have just left their jobs. I can't think of another logical explanation. It's like they're like, oh yep, I better go ahead and get out of here before the light gets shown on me that I did this, and they have this evidence, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, one of the funniest ways I've heard QAnon be described is that half of it is right, the half that says that the people in power are all cannibalistic pedophiles. That's true. The half that says that Donald Trump is stopping them. No, that's fucking wrong.
I can subscribe to that viewpoint, because the one thing I've noticed, and once you watch people who just I guess I would just, it's sort of a cringe word, but call them the normies. What the normie conservative boomers are saying, almost always false, and they're given half truths, and they're given things to put out there just to influence the culture in some way. It's like, once you see one conservative boomer posting "Save the Children," which, although they have good intentions, you see everyone doing it, and then it gets blown out of proportion. And then, like clockwork, there's, that thing released with Bill Clinton with the 22-year-old giving him a rub down. They're going to be like, oh, you see, you all jumped the gun. It was a 22-year-old. It wasn't a 12-year-old. And
I mean, I don't think that really
set it up
is
and then
painted
knock
that
it
way.
down.
I mean, I don't think that's really been painted that way. They've been saying, like, yeah, she was 22, but she was still an underage victim of Epstein's at one point.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the information that I don't think most people would get to. It's just they see that one picture and they easily dismiss it.
Implicate Bill Clinton in anything, and that's the thing about when that came out. And it was like, here's the smoking gun. First of all, Bill Clinton on Epstein's plane, sitting by himself drinking a martini, would be more implication, which that's supposedly what that is. But the fact that a woman is giving him a massage is like, that doesn't make Bill Clinton a pedophile. Being on the fucking Lolita Express is what makes him a pedophile. Like lots and lots of high profile billionaire, super powerful politicians and CEOs could have been tricked into sleeping with a 15-year-old girl that looks 20. And they aren't necessarily pedophiles. Now they're on tape having sex with a child, an underage girl, and they are now seen as such, but they could be victims of their own, like Zach was saying, of their own indulgences, more so than seeking out particularly aged girls. Now, they absolutely could have been, but Epstein could have been a lot more clever than that too, and he could have worked for decades without people like knowing that was his shtick and what he was doing to people, and built all that blackmail on these guys, not necessarily with their knowledge of what was happening to them.
Yeah, our indications are the Franklin scandal, dude, Larry King. Like, that's how he sort of built his mini empire that got shut down pretty quick, I think, with the whole credit union thing. It's like he went from just being this sort of poor guy who was obsessed with the high life to getting rich. And lo and behold, it was because he started engaging in that, blackmail type enterprise.
Yeah, one of the more interesting theories that seems most plausible is that Epstein was actually recruited to his position because Lex Wexner, who is like a cosmetics CEO, was the one who like initially I think hired Epstein to be like an accountant, and like there was like at that time he was just like a teacher, a math teacher at a it was a prestigious school, but he was still just a math teacher, and he was a fucking creep who chased after the underage girls, and any rational community would have had him drug out in the street and castrated him, but Lex Wexner decided instead to give him a job at this investment firm, and he built up his wealth that way, and that's how he got into uh, his trafficking operation basically.
Have y'all seen the video? I mean, I'm sure you have because it's popular. But just what the one with Trump with the crazy '80s hair and the little dance thing with Epstein, and the way Epstein, like that look he has, like he'll just that really macho look, but it's like that predatory type of macho where he's like got his arms crossed and he's staring down the girls, and it's creepy as heck. And then you have Trump dancing around, freaking horrible, like white boy dance, and it's just it's so freaking with that hair.
I remember the fucking testimonies about Epstein. Like they said that apparently his dick was egg shaped. I mean, that's not like as bad as Harvey Weinstein, who apparently his dick had rotted off at some point.
Yeah, what was up with that? That was freaking. I mean, it seemed like everything had rotted off.
Yeah, they said he looked like a burn thing. Apparently, he had gotten an infection at one point that basically rotted off his penis.
That's screwed up.
So I mean, basically, he couldn't, properly have sex, so he was just a sadistic asshole to get off.
Yeah, that reminds me of in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. The Illuminati guy shows up at the end of the limo, and they have the main final girl who's played by Renee Zellweger, like tied down or whatever, and he steps up to her and he unbuttons his shirt, and like his freaking stomach has like all these weird carvings and rings in them, and he just starts licking her and then buttons his shirt back up and leaves. Like it just made me think of the freaking that Harvey Weinstein testimony.
Yeah, it's it's good on him that he's in fucking jail.
Speaking of, I was just gonna say, speaking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I know Kevin's a big fan. Have you seen the news about the new one?
New one? No.
Yeah, well, they're doing the same thing like they did in Texas Chainsaw 3D, where they do a sequel to the original that ignores all the other sequels.
Okay. Again.
Yeah, again.
So, like a reboot.
Yeah,
they're doing that to the thing.
Sequel.
They're doing that to the thing too. Like, why? Nobody cared about the 2011 one. Why are you trying again?
I don't know, but they're freaking. This one already has problems because they're filming in Bulgaria, and they did that in the last one, Leatherface, and it was freaking awful. I had high expectations for that one because it sounded cool, but they just screwed it up. But this one already, the dang director has left it over creative differences, and they're bringing someone else in, and it's going to be horrible.
Yeah. What have you seen the Batman trailer, Kevin?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Good.
It's pretty cool. I think it's going to suffer from having too many villains.
Yeah, that's one thing. It's like it has the Riddler, the Penguin, Catwoman, and the Joker's gang. Like that's always been a problem with Batman films where they overload it with villains and it just doesn't work.
Yep.
Yeah, the thing about the Joker's game and Batman Beyond, I never knew that was like. I mean, I knew of the series, but I never knew that was a thing in that series. My friend's gonna let me borrow the whole series. I'm just gonna binge watch it because I've never watched those before.
Batman Beyond's good. It's considered, I guess, the second best to Batman the Animated Series.
He has that one too. I'm gonna watch it also.
You never seen Batman the Animated Series?
No, the only one, I think it was just slightly after. Like it was never on when I was a kid. The only show or Marvel show or a comic book cartoon I remember watching a lot was the Spider-Man one that had the freaking awesome intro, that electric guitar and stuff.
Yeah.
And I never remember any of Batman being on, except occasionally Batman Beyond, but I never watched that much of it.
I think Rob Zombie did the music for that, believe it or not.
Really?
For Spider-Man?
For that, yeah, that Spider-Man show that he's talking about from the early 2000s.
I think it would have been late 90s.
Late 90s, early 2000s, whatever. I think we're talking about the same one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember like the big finale to that Spider-Man TV show, where there was like Spider-Mans from like different universes, and there was one where the Spider-Man had no powers because he was an actor in a TV show. So the ending has a Spider-Man meeting Stan Lee.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping
cool.
that this new Batman movie is in the same universe as the Joker, though, which I seriously loved it.
Oh, I don't think so. I think that Joker is a standalone.
I could kind of see how they fit it in with the Joker's gang, since in the Joker, Joker is middle-aged and Batman is a kid, so it's very possible that like in that universe, the Joker died before Batman became Batman, and the Joker gang is like kind of continuing on.
Yeah.
Could be.
I think it'd be freaking awesome. I wonder if they'll ever do another Joker movie or if that's it. Because I noticed that freaking after the movie came out, and I don't watch these shows, but I remember seeing clips somewhere. Joaquin Phoenix like got freaking fat. And it's like he would have to lose a ton of weight again to reprise his role as the Joker. It's like immediately.
He probably didn't get. I was going to say he probably didn't get fat. He probably didn't get fat because he doesn't have self-control. He probably got fat for a role.
Yeah, I mean he fluctuates weight all the time. I mean in You Were Never Really Here, he's kind of chubby, and then in the Joker he's like sickly thin. He's so he's pretty good about like putting on pounds and taking them off for his roles.
Yeah. Speaking of him, the movie Her had this thing consistently in it. Like the job he worked at was writing love letters for people. And now it might just be because I'm a student, but I see all kinds of like that was never a thing when that movie came out, as far as I know. And you see this thing, I think it's called Grammarly or something like that. They have all these like writing services where people are literally so illiterate these days that they can't like write basic things. And so it's pushed on them to consult this company that will do their writing for them, which is just depressing.
Yeah, I mean, like on one hand, I kind of understand. I mean, all of us have written, and we know, heavy editing is important. But if you're just like writing an email at work, like who cares if you like, if you spelled that TAHT one time on accident?
Yeah, but I don't know. It just
You think
makes me wonder how far off we are from the rest of Her, like the freaking crazy artificial intelligence stuff.
Fuckers don't pay me enough to like write eloquent Shakespeare sonnets in my emails at work.
Did you see Her, Kevin?
No.
Yeah, you need to check it out. It's pretty awesome.
I haven't seen Her either.
Falling in love with a phone wasn't my bag.
It was supposed to be creepy in the movie. It was definitely not necessarily creepy. It was just like that's the state of society at that point in that movie. Yeah. He's completely like just It's a lot of stuff going on. It's pretty cool, and it's depressing though.
Well, I'm sold. It's creepy and depressing. Gotta watch it.
I like creepy and depressing movies. I mean, Happiness is one of my favorite movies.
Happiness, that anthology movie?
No, it's by Todd Solondz.
That doesn't tell me anything.
It's like one of those movies that's like about different characters, and like all of them are
Okay.
And like all of them are miserable. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman plays this like creepy, sexually repressed guy who's constantly making obscene phone calls. There's I can't remember the name of the actor, but one of the storylines is about a guy who is a therapist, and he's a repressed pedophile.
Yeah, and he drugs this. He drugs this kid's family and fucks him. Right? It is an anthology movie. All those stories.
I wouldn't call it I wouldn't call it an anthology movie, but it's just one of those movies where it's different. The lives of different characters coming together.
Would you call Trick or Treat an anthology movie?
I haven't seen Trick or Treat yet.
I would.
When I think of anthology movie, I think of like Four Rooms is kind of a borderline. I would think of something like Creep Show.
Yeah, well, the reason I call Happiness an anthology, like I only watched it once, and I watched it 20 years ago, so I don't remember much about it. The main thing I remember is when that kid's dad finally realizes they were all drugged, so that dude could fuck his kid. He calls him and he's like, "I'm gonna fucking find you and I'm gonna fucking kill you, motherfucker." And then you just cut to the dude as he slowly hangs up the phone and realizes he's fucked. But the reason I say it's an anthology movie is because all those stories take place one after the other, don't they? Or are they all mixed in?
No, they intertwine.
They're all mixed in. Okay, well then no.
That's like all the people are related in one way or another.
Okay, well they're all related in Trick or Treat also, but the stories take place one after the other in anthology.
Yeah, but that's why I would also call That's why I would also call like Four Rooms like the borderline. But yeah, Happiness is like that's one of those movies. It's like I really like it, but I never know whether to cringe or laugh because there are things like the pedophile, his son is asking it. It's like he's confessing everything that happened to his son because his son is asking about it. And one of the things his son says is, "Would you ever rape me?" And he says, "No, I jerk off instead."
Yeah, dude, that's fucking dark.
Wow. Yeah,
it's a dark movie, and you're laughing about it.
That's the thing. It's ridiculously dark, but it's like the scene where the guy, like again, the pedophile dad is just he's trying to drug this fucking kid, but it's played almost like a comedy. Like he just can't get the kid to eat the food, and when he finally does eat it, he just pukes. God. And when you finally realize, oh wait, it actually is going to happen. Oh shit.
I want another freaking Trick or Treat movie so bad.
Yeah,
wasn't that done by the same person who did Krampus?
Yeah, I didn't like Krampus, to be honest.
I like Krampus. I saw it in the theater. I liked it.
Maybe it'd be cool in the theater, but I guess I was expecting something as awesome as Trick or Treat, and it just didn't happen.
Speaking of theaters, so theaters open again this week, and we get New Mutants. Finally, after like a 2-year delay, New Mutants is going to come out. So I'm looking, my movie theater, the closest movie theater here opens Thursday. New Mutants opens Thursday. So I'm like, okay, I'll go support the theater. They've been, shut down for months. It's, they need some business in there. A lot of people are going to be too scared to go and deal with the COVID crisis. I don't care. I'm not afraid of the flu. So I go look at the ticket prices. These motherfuckers for an IMAX ticket, a single IMAX ticket for New Mutants is $19. Not happening.
Hey, that's less than they charge for freaking just to rent the VOD Scoob.
Was that like? Is that like the? I don't know what do they call it, the Super IMAX where they have those like really fancy chairs and shit.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still not
Yeah.
justifying me spending $20 to go to the movies once.
I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
can't
do like
remember.
those chairs.
I can't remember what the last movie I saw in the theater was. I'm pretty sure it was Joker.
I'm not gonna lie, I freaking get one over by that gimmick of the super nice theaters with the awesome chairs and they serve beer and good food. I love that. I saw Three
Yeah,
from Hell like that because it came out in that little limited like 3-night thing.
Yeah.
And it would have been cool had the movie not been awful, but it was still cool.
Last time I did that was for 31, and I'll never do that again. Rob Zombie just doesn't put enough effort into his films to justify me going and spending money like that.
Yeah, I think like before Joker, my friend dragged me to see that fucking Lion King remake. That was bullshit.
That was bullshit.
What? The Lion King remake? Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah. Don't bother. Watch the original.
I will.
Don't watch the Lion King at all.
Yeah, I mean, I get when I was a kid, I liked Disney movies. I know it's kind of gay, but my grandma was super into them, so I would watch them with her. And Lion King was one of the better ones. I liked Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. The remake stuff, like I'll never see that. It would be super gay of me to. I might as well go suck dicks if I'm going to watch Disney remakes. Which I'm not saying I'm above going to suck dicks, but I am above going to see Disney remakes. So that's
the thing about I don't understand how these fucking things keep making money. Dicks. Go ahead, go on with your thesis about sucking dicks.
No.
It's more interesting than Disney remakes.
Right. Now, what's more interesting is the sociological effect of Disney. It's like my generation, you were either a frickin' Nick and Cartoon Network kid or you were a Disney kid. And that was because the Disney kids had super controlling parents and they would only let them watch Disney. They wouldn't let them watch all the weird, awesome stuff on Nick and Cartoon Network. And these kids grow up like that. Like you can see the Disney in a kid. And there's always like there's a certain thing about Disney. Like I can't look at a Disney movie and see it as a movie. Like it's a Disney thing. It's got that stamp. And it always really annoyed me. And a lot of people are the same way. Like if you especially look at all the crap that was on that TV show, like Phineas and Ferb. I mean, what kind of kid watches a cartoon like that?
I like Phineas.
Yeah, Phineas and Ferb was after my time, but I definitely was like a Nick kid.
Yeah, I was too.
Like I remember my cousin would like come over on Saturday nights, and my grandma would buy us like candy bars, and we'd sit and watch Snick.
That sounds like good nostalgia.
Yeah. So much nostalgia.
Now we sit around and drink beer on podcast or live streams.
Pretty much.
What happened? Skinny really did bail. He was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah,
but I personally don't understand the mentality of a lot of adults who actually are like really, really into Disney. Like, okay, a lot of them are girls, or a lot of them are women, and well, no one understands women. I'll never understand women, but
that's fine. I don't mind it. It is what it is. It's like their version of like we're a bunch of adult fucking ass men talking about superhero movies. So give them their Disney.
Yeah,
movie.
That's true.
Okay.
So we got no place to fucking talk. So
as far as personally, any dudes that can sing a Disney song can suck a dick. That's for sure.
I really though there's this really good album called Stay Awake, which is a collection of like artists doing covers of Disney songs, and it's actually really good. It's like there's the Replacements who do Cruella de Vil, and they play it almost like a stripper song. And there's Tom Waits doing the Dwarf Minor song from Snow White, and it sounds like an absolute nightmare. It's a pretty awesome album.
That's
I'd actually like to hear
that out.
I'd actually like to hear a sequel to that, especially with Nick Cave singing "Hellfire" from Hunchback of Notre Dame.
On that note, I'm going to take a piss. So talk amongst yourselves.
So, Ben, how goes it?
It goes
So it does.
somehow. I haven't
What
been
do you think
reduced
about
to
those 1,000 subscribers at the Quiet Place?
I don't know what Jeremy was on with that. I don't know if he's self-deluding or if it was like, it was a prank, bro.
A freaking army of bots descending on us.
Yeah, I was hoping when you hear that phrase as a kid, that means the Terminators are coming and we're gonna die in a cool way. But instead, it's really lame.
Yeah, and instead now it's like broken up links to really weird websites.
Yeah, where someone in China is just like pushing buttons for I don't know 5 cents an hour.
Yeah.
It's like the fucking Jetsons, except it's a hellscape where George Jetson's just sitting at a terminal, like pressing a button over and over again.
Yep, it's a really weird phenomenon.
That's all fucking jobs are now. It's fucking sitting around pushing buttons all day, and we wonder why everybody's fucking bored and damaged. Why everything sucks.
I don't know what kind of work you do. I'm drawing pictures of dicks.
Well, I have a day job at a life insurance company, so.
That's your choice.
Yeah, you two freaking have jobs.
I enjoy things like, having food and being able to pay rent.
I pay rent just fine.
Y'all should be.
Yeah, you're a fucking about to, I don't know, go do something like suck a dick or something to start making money.
What's wrong with sucking dick for money? I get to suck
nothing. I'd say, Zach, go ahead and do that.
Nah. I'm just gonna chill and get a little master's degree.
Overeducate yourself.
Yeah, watch the world end. Get educated.
Overeducate yourself, and then
then nobody fucking hires you.
Yeah,
and like all the jobs are just fucking bullshit call center jobs.
Andrew says,
and you get no fucking healthcare.
Machine. Andrew's in IT. He fixes the button machine.
I guess the machines are always going to need that. But,
I don't know. I think there might be a day when there are robot mechanics that look like the Terminator. Maybe that's how it actually started. It was a bunch of robot mechanics that took over that job.
It reminds.
In what Philip K. Dick novel is it? That one that I just read, the Three Stigmatas of Palmer Eldritch. They actually have these mutated half machine guys that are all the handymen. They call them They literally call them handies.
That's what I call a hand job. The funny thing, that's actually what they call a cell phone in Germany. Ein Handy. Ein Handy.
Das Handy.
Das Handy. What is mein Handy?
Yeah, I took freaking.
I've lost mein Handy.
4 semesters of German, and I don't know anything. Like, learning languages is so difficult.
Yeah, it's really hard. I've been doing Duolingo for the past 2 years, and I still barely know any Spanish.
Yeah, you'd think it would be somewhat easy, but I don't know. It's crazy.
I can't believe Andrew's hung in here through all this. He's lasted through Nietzsche. He's lasted through Epstein, Pedophile Island. He lasted through our walk through the apocalypse.
I don't know. Go back into talking about your dick sucking technique. Maybe that'll get rid of them.
I don't know. I don't know about that.
I wonder if anything what else. I wonder what the next event is gonna be, because it's been quiet for a while. It's
quiet.
Can they just I don't know, they keep predicting giant asteroids gonna hit the Earth. They keep doing that every few months. Can they actually verify it's gonna happen or not and stop giving me false hope?
Jeez.
Space is fake.
Now we're
Yeah.
on to fake space. Check me out. Andrew says I'm an expert lurker. We're doing pretty good on this this piece, guys. We're two hours in. I normally only do. I was calling myself the Stoner Bob Ross earlier today because I can normally knock out one. I can either do pencils, inks, or colors in an hour, and do an hour-long show in and out.
Let's do a happy little Eldritch Abomination over here. This little tentacle is gonna be friends with this guy's head.
Speaking of Lovecraft,
Very good friends. Very good friends.
Let's talk about something that shouldn't exist forever. Lovecraft Country.
Yeah, I keep seeing like the advertising for it is like H.P. Lovecraft was a horrible racist, but look what happens with all these black people, and it's like, what kind of advertising is this?
I know.
Yeah,
it baffles me that this exists.
the thing is, like, that there are like people who, use Lovecraftian imagery to, confront the idea of racism, but it sounds like they're doing it.
The racists.
Well, more like they're black authors, so they're they obviously have to, it's something they almost have to deal with. But Lovecraft Country, the original book, was written by a white guy.
Oh, of course it was.
Yeah, of course that's one that gets adapted instead of what's his name? I can't remember. It starts with a V. Who wrote, like Ballad of Black Tom, I think is his most famous book.
That one.
I'm bad with fucking names.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that like you see on Goodreads everywhere, and like I see it so much in all the posh book reviewers that I continually talk about. Like they just gloat over it. Maybe it's good, but a lot like just knowing how the small press works and how these people are, watching any small press book that gets the attention, it's artificial, and I just will not give it time. Now, sometimes it's things like that can be genuinely good, but the difference between a book like that getting popular and a book getting popular regularly is that, well, I'll say regularly back in the day. Back in the day, it was kind of brutal in the sense that their books would go on these racks, and if it didn't move in 2 weeks, it was taken off. They weren't given the shelf room anymore. Nowadays, there are influencers who have to make books popular. They don't just get word of mouth naturally because there's so much stuff out there. So every popular book is literally pumped up by a cabal of these ideologues, and it annoys me. My rant's over.
Yeah, I've had a contentious relationship with those Lovecraftian weirdos for a long time because they have taken this mythos fiction that has a fan base. Like it's a semi-popular niche of horror fiction, and they have turned it into this social justice cause, and it's like I don't think there's anybody that reads that. I don't think anybody picks up Lovecraftian horror hoping that they're going to get preached to about social justice.
Girls that take pictures all day and take pictures of their books, and
that's the thing with like Lovecraft. I mean, I'm not saying like his very obvious prejudices shouldn't be like engaged with or spoken about at all. But like the idea is like you can't bring him up at all without people going into full self-righteous mode. It's just like, oh, shut up, and just talking about the tentacles already. Shut up.
Oh, the tentacles. To be honest, though, the Lovecraft thing really gets... I like it, but it's never been like a subgenre I've actively sought out. Like, I've seen it done really well. Like, for instance, Ada Hoffman's The Outside, which was kind of like a science fiction Lovecraftian thing. It worked really, really well. But, like, a lot of times it seems like fan service. Like, for instance, a book I really, really liked for the most part. There were obvious social justice-y issues, but still a good book, was Meddling Kids by Edgar Cantero. That book did not need Lovecraftian elements, and it turned it into like this. It took away the realness of it because it's such a meta, self-aware story. The only way you can make those Lovecraftian elements, work is to give them like a sense of, direness. Like that's the whole thing with a lot of Lovecraft stories, is that these characters go insane by the very notion of what he's describing, because it's essentially demonic, and speaks to that whole freaking chaos thing, which I have a lot of opinions on. I think that those I'm not saying Lovecraft was like actually a demonologist or he was writing about demons or anything. It's just a thing that manifests in culture a lot, and it freaks people out. But
from what I know of Lovecraft, he wasn't atheist, but he was fascinated by the Greek pantheon. So that's probably where he kind of partially got the inspiration for.
I think his uncle also had an occult library, and that's where you get all of his obsession with the Necronomicon and all the John Dee and all the occult stuff that he's into.
Yeah, because if you take his stuff, it's essentially fitting that Gnostic paradigm, which is obviously satanic.
I mean, not really, because Gnosticism does, at least as far as I know, view the actual supreme being as ultimately benevolent if distant, whereas like Lovecraft is kind of a reflection of, the old ones are kind of a reflection of how he saw the universe as being cold, indifferent, and ready to slaughter us at any time.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, I would say that the whole Gnostic thing, like that's the big deception in it, is that all it is like a gateway for people to have any type of spirituality without regards any type of morality, because it's all impersonal. But then they say that it's good, but then they say that you can do what you want to without consequences, and it gets messy real quick. But his stuff does, like, anytime there's that indifference, which is what he's writing to, like whether he's making that indifference into like a scary force, or I mean, you could easily take that and make that indifference into a happy, liberating force, and it would be the same thing. Like it's still within that paradigm. Because that's the thing, you can't really define what's scary or what's good in that type of paradigm. It could be, which is why I think a lot of these people, their Lovecraftian stories don't have any type of edge to them, because they turn it into this fun meta, like throw tentacles on everything for no reason thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like this.
Yeah.
Look at this tentacle.
So that can still be fun. But I think maybe that's why Thomas Ligotti pulls it off very well, because he's very on board with the idea that the universe is or that existence is malevolently useless, so he's able to write that kind of bleakness in his stories.
He's a wackadoo.
He's a
sad little goblin.
Sad little goblin, right?
Yeah, I've not had any. Well, I guess I can't really have run-ins with those types because they blocked me. But I do have a Twitter now, so maybe I can stir up some more sad little goblin nonsense.
Just use it to ship post and browse porn. Don't bother with that.
Sad little goblins exist.
I saw you added me on the Twitters. I thought you had a Twitter. You used to talk to me on Twitter.
Yeah, it got annoying to me, and now I have it just to kind of have it. I'm not really on it that much. It's not. I really don't like Twitter. I really, really dislike Twitter.
I really dislike Facebook. I've been back on Facebook this week. We're on Facebook right now, as a matter of fact, having this conversation, and I only opened it back up so that I could promote the game Strangeville Smokeweed in this new graphic novel. I basically open up Facebook once or twice a year so that I can promote the new material, and I close it back down because I really hate it there.
Yeah, we're basically on a fucking website run by someone from Innsmouth.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen like Zuckerberg's pictures lately? It's like that's like dead on the Innsmouth's look.
Yeah.
I still like it. I mean, I don't like it per se, but I prefer it to Twitter because of the personal aspect. Like you see a person and where they live, whereas on Twitter, just whatever your prevailing ideology is at the moment, you're going to be LARPing in some group or subgroup. That's what I hate about it.
What I like about Twitter is because it's anonymous and you can be anywhere and anyone, people are far more thick-skinned on Twitter. You can really get into a nice fight and flame war with somebody and just get savage with them, and they'll get savage with you right back. Whereas on Facebook, everybody's Facebook is a hug box, and if you get even remote, like you can't even mildly disagree with someone on Facebook before they lose their entire shit. And not only will they block you, but then they have to go make a sanctimonious post to their hug box about it and try to get cope dopamine after having dealt with it. Yeah, copamine for having had to deal with somebody that mildly disagreed with their worldview. It's just, to me, that's just lame. If we're gonna fight about
the thing about Twitter, it's freaking anti-human. Like at least that person. I mean, I'm not saying they're acting like a human, but there's something better about that as opposed to just these anonymous little freaking demon avatars with absolutely no filter or no.
I
they're
love
completely atomized and evil.
I love that they're evil and they have no filter because that's the true belief. That's the true belief system. Like they're coming at me with their true feelings because they are anonymous and they're not worried about being doxxed or shamed in their real life. Whereas on Facebook, it's just this. Facebook is pageantry. All it is pageantry. It's pageantry and dopamine hits. That's all it is.
Yeah. The thing with like social media in general is it's a paradox for me. I hate people, but I need their memes.
I hate memes.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I should just like quit the internet and go live out in a shack in the woods and send packages to college professors and airport executives.
Oh my god! He's maybe not even lying.
But you know, it's funny if you're gonna probably vehemently disagree with me, but the social media that I had the best experience on is Tumblr. It's like it isn't as good since they but I don't have any cats. But yeah, it's you know, obviously that's where the SJWs fucking came from. But most of them evacuated to Twitter when Tumblr got rid of the porn, and even when they were on there, they were pretty easy to actually avoid. And so now I have like I've even met a few girls off of Tumblr. So you know, it's a completely positive experience for me.
I don't know. I'm not going to argue with that. I've never done anything on Tumblr. I don't know anything about it, but you know, if you're having a good time, have a good time.
I'm thinking about doing another like social media exodus again. Like I'm going to keep them up this time because I realize that every time I get off, I eventually get back on. But like just because it's useful for communication, to be honest. But the freaking being there and seeing, like, it's just the same stuff. You're going to leave one time and come back and people will be arguing, you know, very passionately about something else because all it does is give them a platform for their politics, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. And I think I've learned a lot, but ultimately I feel like you can learn stuff and then just step away and do your own thing. And I think I go in those cycles. I get hungry for knowledge and I go looking around to see what's happening. Then I get my fill and get off.
You know what we should have done while we had the chance? We all should have just got moved over to Vampire Freaks when they still had their social media.
I had a Vampire Freaks account I made. I never used it. It sucked.
What the heck is Vampire Freaks?
It was basically MySpace for goths and emos.
Yeah. Goth MySpace.
It's
pretty funny.
You a goth, Ben?
It's they you we could have. I suppose we could try to go back to MySpace, but whoever took that over completely fucking broke it.
Justin Timberlake, literally.
What?
Justin Timberlake bought it, literally.
Oh, I didn't know that. He fucking broke that shit.
Yeah, Justin Timberlake. But Justin Timberlake played a character in The Social Network and then bought MySpace.
I'm sure that was a good fucking investment.
He's rich. He just did it for novelty reasons.
They tried to turn it into a music platform, but it didn't take off.
Like, it was better as a music platform before they did whatever the
That's
fuck
why
they did
did
with it.
That's why they did that. They were like, okay, if
And that-
everybody's using MySpace for music, let's lean in that direction. But no, it didn't work.
Speaking of music on the
The
internet,
thing is, they
Whatever.
lost a bunch of the music when they converted to the new site.
Yeah.
Like, if you go to certain websites, like, the music doesn't work anymore because they lost the fucking files.
now,
Right.
okay, what is it about the music? Okay, like Bandcamp, you listen to the stuff and it sounds amazing. You listen to the same things on YouTube. Like, I flat out, I can't listen to a lot of music on YouTube unless it's stuff that I know and I'm just listening to it to, just listen. You listen to the same songs you like a lot. But what is it about YouTube where stuff just sounds awful? Like, I don't know what it is. Like, it sounds perfect and almost better than like CDs and stuff sometimes when listening to it on Bandcamp.
I mean, with Bandcamp, you pretty much have to upload it as like a WAV file, so it's going to be higher quality. With my YouTube, like with the official channels, I'm pretty sure like they tend to sound okay. It's just like independent of people uploading stuff. Like sometimes they'll just upload an MP3 directly, so it doesn't sound as good.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it's already compressed, and it gets compressed again when it's uploaded as a video.
Yeah, there's just like a freaking crispness that just goes away.
Yeah, so it ends up sounding like doo-doo.
Yep, it's annoying.
But YouTube actually is pretty good at their sorting algorithm of like pushing obscure things to the front. Like the song "Plastic Love," that Japanese song for the '80s, ended up becoming like hugely popular because of YouTube.
Yeah. So, what's your next Bandcamp massacre? What do y'all get into? Like types of music?
I guess I can just say it here. We're going to have Ben Fitz and his hopefully another member of his band is going to be coming on, and we're going to talk about his music and his writing.
That's pretty cool. I didn't know he did music.
Yeah, he has a band called War Honey, which is kind of lo-fi indie music.
That sounds cool.
Well, fellas, we ran my Apple Pencil completely dead, so I'm calling it a night. I've got a couple more little things I need to tweak on this piece, but we pretty much talked our way through that entire inking process, and I wish I could show you more of the detail, but it gets pretty detailed even back there. This, I didn't fill any of this in because it's going to be solid color, but even that building back there has a bunch of texture. So we really, I appreciate you guys coming on and talking, hanging out.
We scared Skinny off.
Even though all the talk about Nietzsche and the apocalypse and country music and Bandcamp scared Skinny off, we got a pretty good piece drawn here. I was kind of intimidated by the last. Did you guys see the last one? Let me show you guys this. Ben, I don't know if you saw this or not. This is what I was up against for the title page for the second part of the graphic novel. So that's
pretty cool.
It's a pretty goddamn good, title page there. And I was intimidated to move on to part 3, but I think that once this thing is colored, it's going to be pretty good too. I think we're doing a good job on these title pages. I think this is going to be a killer graphic novel. I think it's going to be one for the ages, one for the annals of Strangeville when it's all said and done. So.
You still have the plans for that same one after get this one done. I can't remember. I don't know if I need to talk about the plot, but the one you told me about.
Possibly. I've actually also considered rolling it in closer to the Strangeville universe, changing it up a little bit, adding some of the Strangeville universe characters to it. I don't know what's next because I still got a lot of work to do here. Yep. In fact, what I might do next, because I'm doing the card game. The card game Indiegogo first, then the graphic novel. I want to do another game. I want to do a tile-based role-playing board game set in Strangeville. So I might do that next. As far as the next graphic novel after this, I don't know. It's so far in the future, I don't even want to worry about it right now. I've got several scripts in development, but I have 2 to 3 months worth of work before this is even done. Plus, I got to do this card game Indiegogo that's going to be an intense bunch of promotions. So I don't know what's next. I'm worried about what's right in front of me right now.
Yep.
So anyway, I think we're going to call it. We're 2 hours and 30 minutes. I normally only go an hour, so we definitely got our money. Andrew got his money's worth tonight on this this episode of Strange Streams.
Yeah, this is probably more pretentious than your normal ones.
I mean, it's whatever. We talk about anything. I don't care what we talk about.
I bring the stench of pretense and coon wherever I go.
You pretentious music dudes and writerly types are welcome in Strangeville too. Strangeville is for everyone, and when I say everyone, I don't mean everyone, but it's everyone. Anyone and everyone. If you want to come kick it here, this is your place.
Even Bradley Sands, he can.
He does hang out here, whether he doesn't want us to know he does, but he does hang out here.
Speaking
careful,
of which,
he'll fucking strike this video down.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, he went all crazy when I announced that I had recorded an episode of Bazong with Mr. Frank, and that actually came out today. So
you went crazy in what way?
Oh,
going up and down, just going up and down, talking about Zach is Nazi, whatever the fuck.
Spiraling.
I don't know. I don't keep up with him.
It's just spiraling into his normal.
It was weird. He used to be a lot cooler. I don't know what the fuck happened to him.
Obscurity, the collapse of the genre of fiction he hung out in.
It's possibly.
Yeah, he could turn it around and be cool, but I don't see it happening.
Well, if we want to talk about Bradley Sands, he could at least be here to talk about it with us. So, well, on that note, we'll end it with Bradley Sands. Bradley, I hope you have a good night.
Okay. Well, everyone have a good night, and be sure to buy Dr. Sodom and Mrs. Gomorrah, now available on Amazon.
Buy Indie Rock Cabin and check out my new show, Indie Rock Dinosaur. I recorded the first episode with Ken Ami, and it was pretty awesome. More theology-driven show.
Yeah, and you can see my dick in the movie Cockhammer later.